Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bites of Italy podcast. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Scotty. We're so glad you're joining us for another food adventure in Italy. This is actually our second episode from beautiful Genoa. In our previous episode, we shared 3 of our favorite restaurants in the Ligurian capital, places where you can sit down, slow down, and really enjoy an unforgettable meal. But let's be honest, not every day of your trip works like that.
Exactly. Sometimes you're trying to squeeze every last minute out of your sightseeing. You have museums to visit, narrow alleyways to explore, viewpoints to climb, and maybe even a train to catch later that afternoon.
You still want to eat something authentic. Not just the first touristy slice of pizza you happen to walk past, but you also don't want to spend 2 hours at a restaurant.
So today's episode is for those moments. We're talking about the places where locals grab a quick lunch and where you can enjoy incredible Ligurian food without spending a fortune or sacrificing half your day.
We also kept in mind those who simply enjoy savoring a glass of excellent wine, accompanied by local specialties.
Think of it as the ultimate guide to eating and drinking well while sightseeing in Genoa.
Picture this. You've spent the entire morning walking up and down these ancient winding streets known as carruggi. Your stomach starts rumbling. So, you look for a place to grab a quick, authentic, and affordable bite.
Here's an insider tip. If you want to eat like a local on the go, head to Sciamadda.
I love that word. In Liguria, it immediately commands respect.
It really does. The word originally referred to traditional street-side fry shops, but now it signifies a place to savor authentic Genoese specialties.
Let's take a closer look, because to understand how a quick meal in Genoa can become a historic experience, we need to go back to a time before street food became a trendy hashtag for food trucks. After all, the absolute foundation of Genoese culinary culture is a cooking method known since the dawn of time: fire.
Exactly. Historically, these shops were the original fast food joints for the city. They emerged centuries ago out of sheer practical necessity. Dock workers hauling heavy cargo, sailors coming ashore after long voyages, traveling merchants, they all needed a calorie-dense, affordable meal during a grueling day's work. It's basically the 19th century version of a drive-through, but instead of, a neon sign and a plastic headset, you are greeted by this massive wood-fired oven. We are talking about a roaring open fire that maintains incredibly intense temperatures.
In the local Genoese dialect, Sciamadda literally translates to burst of flame, which is just such a visceral name for a food joint.
Let's move on to the first Sciamadda now and tell our listeners what you can actually eat there.
We simply must start with an iconic spot, Antica Sciamadda, an establishment with a history dating back to the early 19th century. We are heading just a stone's throw from Porto Antico, the old port.
It's a tiny place, and when you step inside, everything revolves around the massive copper trays constantly going into and coming out of the oven. And the undisputed star emerging from this 200-year-old oven is Farinata, made from just 4 ingredients: water, chickpea flour, salt, and a very generous pour of local olive oil. But I think calling it a chickpea pancake is almost deceptive.
You're right, it doesn't really capture it.
No, because it's savory, completely stone-baked, and just incredibly dense. It is best eaten piping hot, straight from the oven, with crispy edges and a soft center. It is served cut into irregular pieces and seasoned simply with a generous amount of freshly ground black pepper and sea salt.
And here, it's not just about the farinata. They also make savory pies and focaccia with a cheese filling, which is my absolute favorite.
Everyone is likely familiar with Genoese focaccia, a soft, yeast-based bread that is an integral part of daily life in Liguria. You can find it in every bakery, shop, and restaurant in the region. If you have never been to Liguria, you might think there is only one type of focaccia.
Exactly. In reality, there are many varieties, and the cheese version is among the most famous. Paper-thin layers of unleavened dough enclosing a filling of fresh melted cheese. I simply love it.
Everything at Antica Sciamadda is truly delicious. And since the place opens early, it's the perfect spot for a morning or early afternoon snack. But keep in mind that there is practically no seating. You get like a tiny wooden shelf to lean on if you're lucky. Otherwise, you simply buy a hot slice of farinata and eat it on the go.
Yeah, Antica Sciamadda is a legendary spot. But if you want to sit comfortably while enjoying your farinata, or simply prefer a less obvious choice, we have another recommendation.
Right next door is Pesta, a venue with a dual character, positioned somewhere between an old-fashioned Sciamadda and a traditional trattoria.
It's like 2 places in one. At one entrance, the sign reads Torta and Farinata, while the other declares it to be a trattoria.
Exactly. Savory baked goods are displayed in the window, and hot farinata is served straight from the oven. A wide range of takeaway options is also available. At the same time, the venue operates as a full-fledged trattoria, a place where you can sit comfortably and enjoy a meal.
And the story behind the name is truly remarkable. Sa Pesta is Genoese dialect for ground salt and refers to the production process of this crystalline gold, over which the former Republic of Genoa held a monopoly for centuries. Coarse salt was stored in port warehouses and then ground in mortars to produce the finished product, table salt.
So this building wasn't originally an eatery at all.
Yep. It was not until the early 19th century that this place was converted into a fast food restaurant. Stepping inside today, you are transported straight into that history, as Sa Pesta has deliberately preserved its traditional appearance. You see the original vaulted ceilings, the tiled flooring typical of Genoa, marble counters, and two massive wood-fired ovens.
Today, the Benvenuto family runs it with this fierce, almost stubborn protection of the past. They operate entirely on the philosophy of serving the recipes of their forefathers and are completely immune to modern restaurant trends.
As you've said, here you will find exclusively traditional Genoese dishes, starting with farinata, of course. You can literally watch them prepare that huge copper pan, coat it with olive oil, and slide it into the fire. And when they pull it out, the top is beautifully browned and blistered from the intense heat, while underneath, the olive oil keeps the chickpea mixture rich and creamy.
In addition, they bake plenty of savory vegetable pies, rice, onion, and chard varieties, as well as the famous polpettone with potatoes and green beans. The secret lies in the use of local Presciensewa, a slightly tangy Ligurian curd cheese. Don't miss the tasting set of the day's pies. It's well worth trying.
The dishes from the kitchen are excellent, too. The prime example is cima alla genovese, stuffed veal breast. But honestly, that description really doesn't do it justice. Once sliced, it reveals a dense, complex mosaic of meat, vegetables, eggs, and herbs such as marjoram.
Yeah, this dish even inspired a song of its own. The Genoese bard Fabrizio De André sang of it as the scent of the sea with the delicate aroma of marjoram.
Cima is, like many traditional Italian regional recipes, a dish born of the need to use up leftovers. It is undoubtedly a true gem of traditional Genoese cuisine. Nowadays, it is rarely encountered due to the immense amount of work and precision required for its preparation. But here it is served by the slice in an everyday working-class environment.
I also like stuffed anchovies, which are truly exquisite. It is a dish of surprising balance, where the brininess of the sea is softened by a delicate aromatic filling.
Sa Pesta is the definition of no-frills dining. Paper placemats, wooden stools, local house wine poured from ceramic jugs. Yet, when it comes to the food, the place commands absolute respect. It is worth noting that the restaurant is open primarily for lunch and does not require reservations.
It is a great place, but a city is a living thing. History doesn't just stop in the 19th century. There's a whole new generation in Genoa asking, how can we take those traditional flavors and adapt them to a modern lifestyle? On the go, with a smartphone in hand.
And that brings us to our next culinary recommendation, a modern take on Genoese street food.
But before we get to that, can we ask you a quick favor? If you're enjoying the Bites of Italy podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. It helps more travelers discover authentic food experiences beyond the usual tourist recommendations.
And don't forget to follow us on social media, too. We share extra restaurant recommendations, local food tips, behind-the-scenes moments from our travels, and plenty of places that don't always make it into the podcast. You'll find all the links in the episode description. We'd love to have you join our growing community of Italy lovers.
Now, let's move on to our third stop. Just a stone's throw from the central Piazza dei Ferrari lies a fantastic little place called Tapullo Street, Genova. At first glance, the place resembles a modern urban wine bar with wine bottles on display.
But it is something far more than that. In the local dialect, the word tapullo refers to a quick fix for a breakdown. It's like a stopgap, a temporary, often improvised solution to a certain problem.
Yeah, the Genoese equivalent of fixing a leaky pipe with duct tape.
Exactly. But in this case, they took that concept and applied it to hunger. That breakdown is the sudden, intense hunger that hits you while walking down the aisles. And the duct tape here is sandwiches.
The place is run by this dynamic duo. Valentina handles the technique and kitchen imagination, and Matteo runs the floor with this deep expertise in local wines. But they don't serve ordinary sandwiches.
Absolutely. It's not simply a matter of throwing ordinary cold cuts into a run-of-the-mill bread roll. They serve traditional Ligurian dishes, the very ones we discussed in the previous episode, in a street food style. They tuck them into sandwiches, specifically into pockets of artisanal bread, known as tapullo. This bread is made from organically grown, stone-milled flours, slowly leavened and baked in a wood oven.
I love this idea. It's a sort of culinary Trojan horse. They're smuggling deeply rooted, traditional recipes into the modern, convenient form of a grab-and-go sandwich to attract the younger generation. Or budget-conscious travelers who want traditional fare. Or people who simply don't have the time to sit down in a traditional trattoria.
And that idea worked out well, especially since they have a fantastic selection of sandwiches, meat, fish, and vegetarian, so there's something for everyone.
All right, let's talk about exactly what they stuff into those bread pockets. Because when I first read the menu, it sounded insane for a sandwich.
One of their signature fillings is tuku, a traditional meat sauce from Ligurian cuisine. Slow-cooked beef with tomato sauce, pine nuts, and dried porcini mushrooms. Traditionally, the meat is served as a main course, while the sauce is perfect for dressing the famous Genoese ravioli.
What really impressed me was their take on capon magro. Traditionally, it's an impressive, complex seafood and vegetable salad. We tried it in the previous episode, and transforming capon magro into street food is a bold culinary move. Somehow, they managed to pack that entire towering seafood platter into a handy bread pocket. It's an absolute masterpiece.
I also really enjoyed the grasso sandwich with lard, basil, and Genoese pesto. All the ingredients inside are strictly local, 0 kilometer.
And if you aren't a fan of sandwiches, the menu offers other dishes as well. One of my personal favorites are fried ravioli filled with meat and vegetables.
Plus, you can wash it all down with an excellent natural wine, expertly recommended by Matteo. We had a bottle of very tasty red wine from Rio Maggiore in Cinque Terre.
Which brings us back to the irony of their name. The word Tapullo suggests a quick makeshift solution, whereas here we have slow-rising dough and a beef filling braised all afternoon, all served alongside a carefully sourced natural wine. That is the exact opposite of fast food.
Yeah, it is the slow food philosophy completely disguised as street food. So give it a try instead of your usual grab-and-forget sandwich. Who knows, you might just get hooked. And if you do, welcome to the club.
And now, we want to show that Genoa is about more than just fish and farinata. In this city, you can also savor excellent meat paired with superb wine. So, to wrap up today's culinary journey, we're taking you to Macelli 44.
Location is the key context here. The place takes its name from the street on which it is situated. For centuries, this very street was the hub of Genoese slaughterhouses and butcher shops. Macelli 44 has stepped into this historic, somewhat rugged space and completely transformed the established order. It is Genoa's first organic butcher shop combined with an intimate bistro serving dishes made from fresh farm-to-table ingredients.
And you walk into this beautifully restored space. You have the historical stone walls, slate, and iron, which is a clear nod to the past. The design is incredibly eco-friendly and minimalist. They literally have a live tree growing right in the center of the room. It's such a powerful visual.
That visual perfectly mirrors their business model. They employ a radically shortened supply chain. They source meat exclusively from free-range farms, prioritizing animal welfare above all else. This ethical philosophy fully shapes their menu. You can order impressive charcuterie and cheese boards there, featuring meats cured in their own workshop. But the absolute standout is the hand-chopped steak tartare.
I like their trio of steak tartares, one of which is served with almost shocking simplicity. It is simply chopped meat, a touch of extra virgin olive oil, salt, and pepper. There are no capers, no heavy mustard, no raw egg yolk to mask the flavor.
None of that. When an establishment serves raw meat with nothing to hide behind, it's a testament to their absolute confidence in the sourcing. And the transparency of Macelli 44 is extreme. At the end of the menu, there is a list of all the producers alongside the ingredients, a simple detail that speaks volumes about the care behind every choice.
On top of that, they serve wines from small Italian producers, focusing particularly on biodynamic and organic wines. And they make that ethical consumption incredibly relaxed.
They really do. It's the perfect spot for a unique aperitivo. You can simply grab a table in the distinctive square, order an excellent platter of freshly prepared cured meats, and pair it with some intriguing local wines.
Yes, the food at Macelli 44 is tasty, and what's more, you know exactly what you're eating. Now, let's take a closer look at the map we've prepared for you today. It turns out that fast food in a city like Genoa doesn't have to mean compromising on history, quality, or ethical principles.
Not at all.
Whether you drop by for a quick chickpea farinata baked in a 200-year-old oven, or stop for a glass of biodynamic wine and steak tartare, the food is deeply and inextricably linked to the city's identity.
So, the next time you wander through the winding, sun-drenched carruggi of Genoa, weaving through the crowds with your stomach rumbling, make a wise choice. Be sure to follow the flicker of the flames and taste a piece of history while you still can.
Well said. Before we go, we've got something really exciting to share. Our next destination takes us all the way south to one of Italy's most beloved regions, Sicily. It's a place that's on just about everyone's travel bucket list. And for good reason. Incredible history, breathtaking landscapes, and some of the most unforgettable food you'll find anywhere in Italy.
Over the next few episodes, we'll be exploring Sicily, sharing our favorite places to eat, the local specialties you shouldn't miss, and plenty of tips to help you experience the island like a local. So, if you're planning a trip to Sicily, or simply dreaming about one, you won't want to miss what's coming next.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time.
Happy eating, and we'll see you in Sicily. Ciao.